Welcome to PSW 145A, a course that examines political developments in contemporary India. India is perhaps one of the most exciting places to study various issues that are central to us, to humanity, and to the study of politics in the beginning of the 21st century. India poses some of the most fundamental questions that political science wrestles with, such as how do you build a state in a deeply diverse society? How do you manage democracy in a poor country? How is it that you can ensure development and political equality in a nation that has been beset by years and, in fact, centuries of social discrimination along various lines? How do you build a nation state in which you're constantly dealing with armed threats and armed conflict with your neighbors? How do you build a multi religious society? How do you build a multilinguistic society? How do you build a society in which people of all kinds of uh, backgrounds can come together? That is indeed a very large canvas, and we will not be focusing on all those issues. But in this course, we are going to talk about one very small but significant segment of this range of issues I've spoken about. And we will be asking, how does India manage deep social divisions? And these divisions include divisions of language, of caste, of religion, tribe, gender, and class. All societies have social divisions, and these social divisions can occur along one line or multiple lines. India is unique not only because of its large population, but with that large population and its regional diversity, it introduces a whole new set of challenges, which is a nation. How do you build a modern political system in a deeply divided society along multiple lines? And this is an issue that doesn't concern India alone. It's an issue the United States is wrestling with. It's an issue Europe is less wrestling with as it tries to build to a European Union which can accommodate different religions, different languages. And India has been doing this since independence in 1947 and after its first elections in 1952. India has managed multiples of these divisions, and some of those, as we will learn, some of those have actually been much more successful than others. India has managed some divisions such as language very, very well, whereas others such as religion and caste and gender still pose challenges for the Indian state. One, of course, simple way to answer this question is, hey, listen, it's very easy. You can give every group, as let's say, its place in the sun. But and that's indeed a strategy the Indian state has used, and we'll discuss this in much more detail because it's very easy to say that everybody should have a place in the sun, i.e., everybody should have a stake in the political system. The question is, how do you give everybody a stake in the political system? And as you unfold the process of giving everybody a stake in the political system, what that does is poses different problems of its own. Now, while we'll spend a bunch of the course talking about these issues, the other thing which I think we should realize is that Indian politics today is at a critical juncture, according to some people. For a very long time, after being governed by a party that is rather centrist, what we find now is that India's party politics is dominated by a Hindu right wing party. And so the question is, how is it that a country in which a centrist party, which brought together multiple divisions, governed successfully almost uninterruptedly from 1952, after the first elections, to 2014, has now been cast aside and has been replaced by the electoral dominance and, in fact, the political dominance of a Hindu right wing party? Is the idea of bringing multiple groups gone away to the side, and instead one is getting a more muscular Hindu definition of what it means to be Indian? These are some of the things we'll be speaking about in this course. How is this course going to proceed? First, just a brief introduction. I'm Pradeep Shivar. I'm a professor in the Department of Political Science, and my research mostly focuses on Indian politics, though I have written on party politics in other parts of the world as well, such as Algeria, Spain, United States, Britain, and Canada. Pranav Gupta is a PhD candidate in the Department of Political Science. Both of us are going to be working on this course together with you. In addition to our regular office hours, both of us will also be available for individual appointments. Do send us an email and we'll be glad to set up a time to speak with you over Zoom. Couple of things about the course. This is a completely asynchronous course. The readings are all online. We have tried to limit the readings to about 3 a week. Some of the readings are pretty straightforward. Some of the readings are complex. If you are having issues with the readings, do talk to us. Also, the lectures have been set up in a way that should give you a signpost to understanding the reading. So if you combine the lecture, listen to the lectures online or read the slides, and at the same time have a look at the readings, you should not have any difficulties. But if you do have difficulties, please get in touch with us. The readings are online, and as I said, and so are the slides for each week. Online lectures are also available, and they're in the Media Gallery tab on the B Courses page. And though each of these online lectures is self-contained, keep in mind that the lectures are organized sequentially. In other words, the lectures just follow the slides, and I've tried to make sure that the lectures, Pranav and I have worked quite hard over the last few months to make sure that these lectures are self-contained, i.e. they are no more than 7 to 10 minutes. Some may be longer, some may be shorter, so that you can get a sense of the readings or the issues in more digestible chunks rather than listen to me drone on for 30 or 40 minutes or even over an hour, which I understand is quite difficult given the nature of the medium through which we are communicating with each other. The course assignments are pretty straightforward. There's an introductory meeting in which all of you, we will send out a link, are expected to meet us and talk to us. Just introduce yourself, and this is 5% of your grade. You also have to write 300 to 350 word response papers. This will be about 50% of the grade. You will be given questions in advance to write these response papers on, and we will send those questions out to you before the response papers are due. Once you've submitted your response papers, each one of you will be responsible for a peer review, 1 to 2 paragraphs of a fellow student's paper. This is 15% of your grade, and there's a final examination on August 11th, which is 30% of your grade. You have to take the final examination. It is a must, because if you don't take the final examination, you don't pass the course. What are our expectations? First, the course moves very rapidly. We are going to cover a lot of ground on India very, very quickly. 8 weeks is not enough, but that's what we have. I would urge you to read the materials, listen to the lectures, and ask questions in office hours or on Piazza. To get the most out of the course, engage with the materials and meet with us regularly. Finally, please set up a time to meet with us in the very first week of classes. And this is important so that we can get to know each one of you and you can get to know us. And that will help for a much smoother conversation during the rest of the semester.